Donkey Kong is a major character in the Mario series. He's the first Mario enemy who premiered alongside Mario and Pauline. Donkey Kong was the first enemy. He was around before Bowser even existed. But what is the story of Donkey Kong? What is the history behind the Donkey Kong games? Donkey Kong. We have seen him in multiple games in the Mario series, such as Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Yoshi's Island DS, and Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2, March of the Minis, and way more. But how was this character created? Where did it all begin? And I don't mean what he did in the first game, but his creation as a character. Well, Donkey Kong's name came from his creator Shigeru Miyamoto, who believed donkey meant stupid in English, and assumed the name would show the sense stupid ape to the American audience. Some say that Donkey Kong's story may be based on King Kong, adding Mario as the hero. Donkey Kong's first appearance in history was in the arcade game of the same name, where he was the main villain. In the game, Donkey Kong made off with Mario's girlfriend Pauline and carried her to the top of a high construction site. He was pursued by Mario and attacked him by throwing barrels and creating living fireballs. He was eventually pursued to the top of the construction site where Mario caused the bars supporting him to crash, sending him to the ground. However, this could be Cranky Kong going by the name of Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong tried to kidnap Pauline yet again in the Game Boy game Donkey Kong 49, this time accompanied by his son Donkey Kong Jr. Donkey Kong's tactics in this game remained virtually the same. He attacked mainly by throwing a variety of objects at the hero. There is still speculation why Donkey Kong tried to kidnap Pauline. Some sources say that he took her in revenge against Mario since he had abused him. Others, perhaps trying to show Mario in a more favorable light, say that Donkey Kong fell in love with the damsel in distress. Eventually, the roles reversed in the next game, Donkey Kong Jr. In this game, Mario actually kidnapped Donkey Kong, perhaps to keep him from kidnapping Pauline, and stood guard next to his cage with a whip. In the end, Donkey Kong Jr. arrived and defeated Mario to free Donkey Kong. After this, Mario disappears from the Donkey Kong games for a while to star in his own series. In Donkey Kong 3, Donkey Kong was a main villain once again, although this time he did not fight Mario. In this game, Donkey Kong has gone on a rampage inside a greenhouse, and a local exterminator called Stanley the Bugman was called in to defeat him, along with the other bugs destroying plants in the greenhouse. Donkey Kong would use a system of ropes to lower himself to the greenhouse floor. When he reaches the floor, the game ends and Donkey Kong is able to destroy the rest of the greenhouse. After Stanley sprays Donkey Kong with poison 3 times to keep him off the greenhouse floor, he runs away. Now from this point on, things changed for Donkey Kong. A new era had come. All the DK arcade games were ported to the NES. But Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. were thrown back into supporting roles for a long time, most notably Super Mario Kart. However, in 1994, Nintendo released a Game Boy remake of Donkey Kong. After this quiet, dark and silent era, a new game finally came that changed everything. The 1994 Super NES game Donkey Kong Country, made by the British game developer Rare, marked a turning point for Donkey Kong by creating a new setting, Donkey Kong Island, and a backstory for the character. In the Donkey Kong Country series, it is implied that the current Donkey Kong is the grandson of the original Donkey Kong from the arcade game, who has become a bitter, elderly ape named Cranky Kong. This Donkey Kong is portrayed as a powerful yet lazy and laid-back ape, who was more interested in lounging than heroics, and as such was constantly criticized by Cranky and the others. The series introduced a sidekick for Donkey, his hyperactive friend Diddy, and DK's crocodilian archenemy King K. Rool. Despite his name being in the titles of both games, DK is not the protagonist in the sequel Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy Kong's Quest, nor Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. Instead, he is captured by K. Rool, while the player controls different Kongs who have set out to rescue him. The Donkey Kong Country series also inspired the Donkey Kong Land trilogy and the television series. Donkey Kong 64 for the Nintendo 64 would be the last platform game developed by Rare starring Donkey Kong. The modern Donkey Kong replaced Junior's role in the Mario Kart series for Mario Kart 64. In addition, DK became a regular playable character in Mario's sports series and other spin-offs such as Mario Party and Super Smash. Rare revived the Donkey Kong series and created many other awesome games for Nintendo, and they have made everything 100 times better. Rare became a true legend. But then the unspeakable happened. In 2002, Microsoft acquired Rare, who retained their original brand, logo and most other properties. It has since focused on developing games exclusively for Microsoft Studios' video game consoles. Everything changed. It was the end of an era. Following Rare's departure from the series, Nintendo co-produced a trilogy of rhythm games with Namco for the Nintendo GameCube, known as the Donkey Konga series, which were based on Namco's own Drum Master, though only 2 of the series games made it to America. DK Jungle Beat was released on March 14th, 2005 in North America for the GameCube. DK Jungle Beat served as his main platforming adventure on the GameCube and depicted DK as being more violent than his original image. In October 2007, Donkey Kong Barrel Blast was released in North America for the Wii. However, the game was going to be on the GameCube. The game was panned by critics, but was loved by the fans of the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy, due to its inclusion of characters, art, locations and items from the trilogy. Many believe Barrel Blast to be the equivalent of Donkey Kong Racing, a game that was planned but never came out due to the restrictions of the Rare departure. Meanwhile on the handhelds, Donkey Kong was reunited with his former rival Mario in the 2004 Game Boy Advance game titled Mario vs. Donkey Kong. A throwback to the Donkey Kong title from the Game Boy, Donkey Kong resumed his antagonist role from his earlier games by taking over Mario Toy Company, upset over the lack of mini Mario toys available for purchase. The game was followed by a 2006 sequel titled Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 March of the Minis, where Donkey Kong, who is infatuated with Pauline, kidnaps her and takes her to the roof of the Super Mini Mario World amusement park, when she ignores a mini Donkey Kong toy in favor of a mini Mario. After this, they released more Mario vs. Donkey Kong games and it became a classic. Aside from those, DK King of Swing on the Game Boy Advance was released by Payon around the time of DK Jungle Beat, and its sequel, Donkey Kong Jungle Climber for the DS, was released in America on the 10th of September. Jungle Climber took the gameplay of its predecessor and mixed it with the style, locations and items of Donkey Kong Country. After this, the Donkey Kong Country series returned, with Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, which was a modern version of Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Country Returns received critical acclaim. It has a score of 87 on both game rankings and Metacritic. The same goes for Tropical Freeze. And this is where the story ends. Now you know the story behind the Donkey Kong games. And we will have to see what the future brings. Great that you watched this video. Click on the screen to watch more videos or in the upper right corner, and why not subscribe, then you won't miss a thing.